looking downfield, launching downfield, going for it all. It is close. Bears win. His feet is killed. And a big play. And a stiff arm. George Kittle. Flag fly. And Manning is going to heave one. There's a flag. Back to
Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between or outside of it, welcome to Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan, right here on the Fantasy Football Network, coming to you every Monday evening until week 1 of the NFL season. I am your host, Evan Sather. Tonight, I did have to make a last-minute guest substitution due to unforeseen circumstances, but I got another great guest that I've had on before, and I'm super happy he decided to come back on last minute again. He is a contributor for Going for Two, the Fantasy Six Pack, and the IDP Center on YouTube. Please welcome back to the show, Big Game, Jamie Perogue. Jamie, so glad you could join us once again. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. I know I'm not Joey Wright. Sorry, but I'll do my best to entertain everyone in the audience.
Hey, man, I don't need you to be Joey Wright, but I just, need you to be the good old Jamie Perogue we all know and love. Finally, great to have you on the Fantasy Football Network channel now that we finally got that open. I had you on back in April when me and my team were just in a transitional period. We didn't have the new channel open yet. We were still figuring out what we wanted this business to be. So it's just great to have you on the official channel finally.
Yeah, I'm loving the new channel. Your intro is fire. Love the beat. Just the visuals. They're awesome, man.
We're having a great time with this so far too. I was kind of hoping to get our good buddy Phil to possibly come on tonight as well, but he's up in Seattle at the World Cup, so he's not coming back for a little while. He's going to enjoy himself some footy for a little while. But outside of that, we're having a great time doing all the Scott Fishbowl mock drafts, which is exactly what we're going to be doing here tonight. And it's a great time this season too. It's hard to believe that we're already in live draft season at this point. Minneapolis was this past Saturday. Cincinnati was yesterday. And this coming June 20th, we're going to have Denver, Dublin, and Las Vegas. That's 3 of them on this Saturday. I can't remember, Jamie, if this is the first time we've had a Dublin live draft.
I'm not sure about that, but that's awesome that we're just going overseas, getting different areas involved. So I love that for Scott Fish.
I will state for the record that those of you who are live drafting in Dublin, I am extremely jealous of you because I have a little bit of Irish heritage and I can't make it out there this summer. But if somebody would like to pay my airfare with Aer Lingus from Chicago to Dublin, I'd be eternally grateful. Just putting that out there. So that's all coming up on June 20th, so we're hoping that this Scott Fishbowl live draft is handy for those of you planning on drafting this coming Saturday. Bob Bullock will be in Denver this coming Saturday as well, so glad you could tune in, Bob. So we're going to get you ready for Denver coming up here, hoping that tonight's ADP or at least the results of this mock draft will be handy. So, Jamie, I see that Going for Two also they went live in was it Cincinnati or Minneapolis you mentioned?
Minneapolis on Saturday.
Beautiful. So I didn't get a chance to watch that myself, but hoping to get back to that pretty soon to get on that. So please tell us about how Minneapolis went as well for the guys that were there from the team.
Yeah, I mean, the draft boards were all different. We've seen a lot of different strategies, different ADPs, some reaches. AJ Brown went in the first round. I think I picked 7 in one of them.
Ooh.
So that was a surprise. We saw Matthew Stafford go into third, which is also seems a little high. But yeah, it's pretty much take your guy, right?
I think that's exactly what it is. It's not only is it take your guy, but I think in Stafford's case, I think the Myles Garrett hype is getting to the point where it's spilling over for the Rams offensive players too. So if Myles Garrett helps that defense make the offense better, as a result of just what both sides of the team are able to do, that could be a damn good pick.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I'll be drafting live in Cleveland on July 12th. So that's
Fantastic.
my first ever live draft. I've been in the Scott Fishbowl since Scott Fishbowl 12, and then it's 15 minutes away from my house, so I couldn't pass it up. You know?
Right. So, yeah, we're going to have 5 live drafts that same day. I'll be doing Chicago that very same day. So, you'll definitely have to keep me posted how Cleveland goes, too, because Chicago is going to be out in the burbs this year. That's expected to be fire. We're going to be out at Moretti's out in Bartlett, western suburb, which has a gigantic deck and just main room, open bar. I mean, it was $100 to get into Chicago, but unlimited pizza and food buffet, open bar. So Chicago was going to be great. Same day as Boise, San Francisco, and DC as well. Hopefully,
Yes.
Cleveland's a great time too, man.
Yeah, Washington D.C. My boss Jeff and Joe Bond from Going for Two and the Fancy Six Pack will be there live. In the past, we have done a live show broadcasting the DC, and since I'm going to be in Cleveland, I think we're going to kind of put it together and go back and forth between DC and Cleveland.
That could be fire too. It'll be like CNN, but fantasy football level. But
Yep.
So with Scott Fishbowl coming up here, so then this is the scoring for those of you who have, if in the off chance you haven't seen it, and just a good reminder for everybody who has yet to draft as well, it's going to be the 10-point bonuses that are going to be key this year for 300 yards passing, 400 yards passing, 100, 200 yards rushing and receiving, 10 points for 40-yard passing, rushing, and 10 points for 20-yard receiving plays. I always forget that part, not 40. So that puts a lot of value on pass catchers this year, which you definitely want to think about that for running backs as well. So without further ado, Jamie, I think people know the drill. We won't keep them waiting too much longer. Are you ready?
Yes, let's get it.
Let's get it. I'm going to go ahead and click start here. Big Bad Bull is up here. I should also mute the sound, be a little better professional here, so we don't get ourselves interrupted while we're trying to talk here. But Jahmyr Gibbs going first. Honestly, outside of Scott Fishbowl, Jamie, I think Jahmyr Gibbs could possibly finish as RB1 in PPR leagues this year, just in general, because he can do it all back there. He can catch passes, he can juke, he can split defenders. He can pretty much do it all in that backfield, which, as a fan of a rival NFC North team, I don't like it, but great for fantasy. What do you think of Jahmyr Gibbs this year? Do you think he's going to get RB1 locked up?
Yes, I do. I mean, you also got to remember it's a high-powered offense. So that's if you're going between Bijan, which is not that big of an offense compared to the Lions, I'm going to go with the better offense and more points, more first downs, more catches, more touchdown opportunity. So, yeah, I think I'm Team Bijan or Team Gibbs over Team Bijan.
I'm not at all worried about Brian Robinson taking work away from Bijan Robinson because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I respect Brian, the running back, but Brian is definitely not Tyler Algier, who went to go sign with the Arizona Cardinals in the offseason this year. But honestly, I think this is Bijan's backfield to lose. I don't see the Falcons. I don't see Kevin Stefanski running multiple running backs the way that other offensive coordinators, including Arthur Smith, misused Bijan Robinson. I think we could see Bijan dominate back there. What do you think? What do you think about the way that the Falcons will use Bijan? Kevin Stefanski quite well as the former head coach of your Cleveland Browns. Is this good for Bijan?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Cleveland use a workhorse back. It was Nick Chubb. I just think Bijan has to get at least 75% of the carries. There's no way they're just gonna hand over less work for him. He is generational, and he is the team. He's going to put that team on his back, just like he's always done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how he isn't like the centerpiece for that offense to help Drake May, help Kyle Pitts. Their offensive coordinator left to go be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator, and well, we'll have to. Well, I can't remember who the Falcons hired. I'll have to go look him up, but good luck with that, Buccaneers fans. I think
Yeah.
I think all of them were horribly misused in that offense. Let's do this and let's do this. All right, so I have to kind of keep my strategy for these mock drafts a little cagey here and there with every new episode of Monday Night Mock Draft 7 we do, just because I don't want to give too much away for what I might do at the Chicago Live Draft next month. But it doesn't hurt to try other things too. I mean, I was in a league, a league last year with a guy, the only Packers fan, I forgot the guy's name, all running backs, and he was in the top 1% to finish off the season.
Wow. See, I was thinking more going receivers, especially with the big play bonus. And they're kind of safer because running backs, they get injured more often. So I've been doing tons of mock drafts, and I have different strategies for all of them. And I just don't know which one I like the best yet.
I'm not sure which one I like the best yet either, because it seems obvious on paper that you should just go like all wide receivers, all tight ends, but that could be deceiving because I'm seeing a big trend in fantasy football over the years that running backs do provide consistency as long as they're healthy. And even if you get like an RB2 in the later rounds of a mock draft like this, that could prove to be valuable if and when the running backs in front of them get hurt. So I don't know. Could going all running back again be a viable strategy, even in a bonus, a reception bonus heavy Scott Fishbowl this year?
Yeah, I found myself actually taking a lot of these running backs because they just keep falling to me. For example, I just went with Genty. You know, Genty could have big play games, 50-yard touchdowns here and there. Plus, he's basically pretty much the offense besides him and Bowers. And I'm up next. So I think I'm going to take another running back here.
Go for it, my man. I guess grab your running backs before I take them all.
Yeah.
That's the magic of these live draft shows that I love the most, is that whenever you mention a player specifically by name, Tom Brady, that tends to manifest Tom Brady or whoever's name I say into the draft at some point. And that's why I love our audiences for that reason.
Well, Barkley just went, so that's who I was thinking of taking.
Sniped by Joe Warriors.
Yep. So now it's between Hampton and Nico, and I'm going to go Nico. Just
excellent choice, my man.
Safer. Yeah. Yep.
I love me some Nico Collins this year. I feel like a lot of people forget that Nico Collins is an elite wide receiver when CJ Stroud gets time to throw the dang football, because we all know CJ Stroud sucks under pressure, and with how terrible that offensive line is, he cannot handle being pressured by opposing defenses. But when Nico Collins is healthy and he's out there, he definitely is a top 15 wide receiver. And with how great a lot of these wide receivers are, it's hard to say who's going to be wide receiver one. I mean, you're tempted to say Jamar Chase, but there's a lot of guys who could fit that criteria. If Malik Neighbors can get healthy, it could even be him too.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, you got St. Brown, who's always consistently in the top 5, JSN, Puka. So, yeah, I mean, even Justin Jefferson, now that he actually has a quarterback that can throw the ball somewhat. Yeah, that's why I said somewhat. But it's a lot better than what he had in the past. Let's just say that.
Yeah, as much as I hate to admit that, at least Kyler Murray can complete passes inside of 10 yards, but if you ask him to throw the ball deep, good goddamn luck to you, because he's probably going to miss the target. I mean, he was able to make it work with a Trey McBride. We know Kyler Murray loves targeting the tight end, so I'll make my next couple of picks here before I finish that point here. So let me go Jeremiah Love, and I'll go Malik Neighbors here because I definitely want him back. I'm thinking TJ Hawkinson could prove to have a bounce back season if Kyler Murray remains the
Yes.
starter all season long, because we know that just like Justin Fields, Kyler Murray loves targeting the tight end. He got used to it with Trey McBride. TJ Hawkinson is no Trey McBride, but he was damn good with the Detroit Lions before getting traded.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young too. I think he's only 28. So he's still got some years ahead of him. And yeah, I've been taking a lot of Hawkinson late in some of my best ball drafts.
You know what's crazy too? Like, I forgot that he was a top 5 tight end in PPR leagues 2022 and 2023.
Yep.
He was getting 129 and 127 targets apiece. Not big touchdown numbers, but even then, like, he was just shy of 1,000 yards in a season. You don't really care about that much if he's a top 5 tight end, because he's still going to be highly valuable at the position. And then just the past couple of years, he just struggling to stay healthy. And then they tried with JJ McCarthy, and boy, he was definitely not NFL ready. But honestly, I think Kyler Murray is going to be a 1-year rental to get JJ McCarthy NFL ready. I think some people are doubting that McCarthy will ever be NFL ready, but developing behind Kyler Murray, is that a plan that could work for McCarthy?
I don't see it happening. I think he needs to go to the Chargers and play with his old coach that actually did believe in him and made him in college who he is. So if he goes and plays behind Justin Herbert, maybe I can see that. But I just don't see him having a good career in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's it's hard to say what else will happen with JJ McCarthy. I'm thinking right now he's on a trajectory to become the next Christian Ponder, but we'll just have to see how well that ages, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get to a few comments here as well. So Famous J7483 mentioned that he will be drafting at Scott Fishbowl Live New York City draft in August. Famous Jay, it's going to be great to see you out there with classic Mike Herrick, Ryan Weiss, and a few other guys who I know will be out in that direction as well. Jamie, is there anybody from your teams who will be at New York City?
No, I don't know anyone going to that one.
So that should be a fun one from what I understand. Miguel Madrid also 1005 also says, "Hey Evan, how y'all seen the first drafts of this year? I absolutely love that everyone is really different." I think you just took the words right out of my mouth, Miguel. I've seen everybody being different for the sake of these mock drafts. Everybody wants to try different things, including myself. So it's gonna kind of manipulate ADP to be a little wonky. We're probably gonna see tight ends go a lot higher in these sleeper ADPs as well, just because Scott Fishbowl has been so influential. But yeah, I don't think there's just going to be one formula to get it done. Everybody's just going to grab their guy, like we were saying at the beginning of the show, and just hope for the best. I mean, Jamie, do you see this as anything different based off of what you've seen so far in Minneapolis and Cincinnati?
No, everything seems to be just about right. It'll be the later rounds, I think, is where people start going crazy. Probably around like 8, 9, 10. So we'll get to those picks soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's usually the double-digit rounds when people start to get crazy with this. Hard to go crazy in the first like 5 or 6 rounds because everybody's gonna get studs, right? Like it's pretty hard in a format like this not to get great players in the first 6 rounds, and then after that, the wide receiver 2s, the running back 2s, QB 2s, maybe not QB 2s so much, but yeah, it'll be. I guess there's not really one thing you can absolutely count on. Wharf69 just also took my favorite elite valuable wide receiver, which I'm a little mad about because I was kind of hoping to get Garrett Wilson. But Wharf69, good for you. Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to bounce back with Geno Smith this year. Him and Geno Smith are actually my favorite best ball stack.
Yeah, I like it because you can get Geno basically for free, and Garrett Wilson does fall in every single draft that I've seen. I was debating him or Stafford actually, and I decided to go with Stafford just because I got Stafford as a top 12 QB, and I got him at QB 15. Especially with these big plays, he's got Devontae Adams still, Puka. I just think he's going to smash in this format too.
Famous Jay, sorry, I should have put 2 and 2 together. That Wharf 69 and the Klingon symbol was definitely you. So hopefully you have a good time in New York City next month, my man. And I definitely love that Garrett Wilson pick. I think that's, if you can do that at the New York City live draft, I think you're gonna that's gonna help your team tremendously as he's making his next pick as well. But I decided to double tap quarterback here to take the words out of Ryan, to take some famous words from Ryan Weiss, the double tap part. Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff. I figured I'd wait a little bit at quarterback, being that we still have the 2 super flex slots because this is still ultra flex format. I don't have a lot of faith in Baker Mayfield this year. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is going to be highly underwhelming. Emeka Egbuka needs to prove that he can have a better catch rate than 49 and change percent. He was having trouble hauling in some passes this year, and they don't have Mike Evans to be their anchor for the passing offense. I don't have faith in Bucky Irving. Jamie, what do you see in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, especially now that they have the old Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think they're going to take a step back. They lost Mike Evans, like you said, and they did draft Ted Hurst, who can play similar to Mike Evans, but he's not Mike Evans. Plus, he's a rookie. He does have big playability and a touchdown upside. And I like how they brought in Kenneth Gainwell. I think Kenneth Gainwell is a great value this year. Bucky's probably going to take a step back, and I can see Gainwell getting more work in that offense.
No, I absolutely see Kenneth Gainwell getting amazing work in that offense because they lost Rachaad White to the Washington Commanders. Kenneth Gainwell is an instant upgrade to be a backfield pass catcher, which Bucky Irving, I mean, you can throw passes at Bucky Irving and he can catch them, but he's probably not going to get anywhere unless the defense really screws up. But I don't have any faith in that backfield aside from taking Kenneth Gainwell as like a flex option on a weekly basis because I think he's going to get a lot more passes thrown his way than Bucky Irving for real.
Yeah, and plus I think Bucky had 0 inside the 5 carries last year. That was Sean Tucker's job. So that's one reason why I'm lower on Bucky, because he's going to get some of his passes taken away and he doesn't get much goal line work.
You're not wrong about that. I just didn't realize the number was 0 inside the 5. Man, Todd Bowles was really showing us that he has no faith in Bucky Irving. I was getting flamed a lot in last August before the 2025 season began because I was admitting in places like Reddit's Fantasy Football AMA when I used to be with Optimus that I'm out, or not out, but lower on Bucky Irving and Chase Brown than consensus. Chase Brown for different reasons, but Bucky Irving just because it's not a 3-headed committee, but they don't like using Bucky in a lot of instances. Pass blocking, pass catching, goal line work. He doesn't get that stuff. Other running backs get involved. Sean Tucker's not there anymore, but I mean, it's Todd Bowles. I'm sure we'll have Zach Robinson is the new offensive coordinator. He'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, my last pick, I know it was a little bit of a homer pick, but I went Judkins. With his first down bonus, I think he's going to be the main guy that's, going to get those first downs for the team.
You say Judkins, which I'm still trying to work on with Classic Mike here as a member of our Fantasy Football Network team. I always hear him saying Junkins, which that always amuses me. But he is also reminding us that the New York City live draft is on August 1st, which seems like forever away. Honestly, though, I mean, for you guys, I think that's going to come up. It's going to come up fast. I mean, I'm not necessarily wishing that into reality, but that's how summer always goes, right? You get busy, and the next thing you know, oh, it's here. Because, our live drafts are next month.
Yeah.
So it looks like a lot of tight ends are starting to go off the board here. I'm wondering if I should take one, or maybe I'll just take the big playability in a Jalen Warren here. I'm going to skip out on Bucky Irving and RJ Harvey because I have no faith in either of those guys this year, especially even this late in the draft. I don't like it as much, but I'm going to take a shot on DK Metcalf as well, even though he seems like he's on his way to less volume at some point. I'm not necessarily this year, but the Steelers did trade up to go get Jeremy Bernard because the Eagles snatched Mekhi Lemon away from the Steelers. So what do you think about the Steelers' passing offense this year, Jamie? So it's going to be Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf. They grabbed Jeremy Bernard in the second round, so they'd be foolish not to get him work. But I mean, we've seen second-round wide receivers like Andy Isabella fail and flop because the team who drafts them doesn't know how to use them properly. But Aaron Rodgers still loves throwing to the tight end as well. They still have Darnell Washington. He got paid. Pat Freiermuth is being overlooked as a possible value for the tight end position. What do you think about the Steelers' offense?
I think it's going to be better. I like the new coach, and they're going to run a different type of offense that they did in the past. They're actually going to start using the slot receiver like they should. I remember they drafted Roman Wilson a couple years ago, and I liked his talent. Not a lot of people did, but they just wasted him. He couldn't get on the field. But now with Jeremy Bernard there, I love that for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm more of a Pittman over Metcalf type guy myself, especially getting the value you would on Pittman over Metcalf. And straight up, give me Pittman.
So you're actually the first person I've heard speak positively about Mike McCarthy, who he's a guy that I liked a little better as the Packers coach because he would make some mistakes that would help the Bears win occasionally, even though our team was way worse back during McCarthy's time versus now. But do you see Mike McCarthy bringing back the old Packers offense for the Steelers?
Yeah, I can. I mean, they got the talent for it, right?
So it seems on paper.
Yeah, they just need to execute it. That's what I was going to say. As long as they execute it properly, I still see the Steelers making the playoffs. They could possibly win a division this year. But just like the Steelers always do, they're probably going to lose the first game of the playoffs anyway.
Yeah, just mired in mediocrity where they barely finish above 500. They might accidentally win the AFC North and then get bounced in the wild card round by an actual good team like they often do. I'm sure that as a Browns fan, you love to see it every year where it just doesn't matter for them.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So I'm starting to see some Cardinals players going off the board here. You grab Marvin Harrison Jr., which I still like that pick. You're about to make your next pick as well. But Michael Wilson, I think, is going at roughly probably where he should be going. NASCAR Baller was the one who grabbed Michael Wilson at the 902. I think Michael Wilson is a sell high option, being that I don't think they're going to be running their offense exactly the same as they did last year, where the Cardinals were just freaking stuck having to throw the football because they just couldn't run the ball. James Conner got hurt. Trey Benson got hurt. They had to roll Michael freaking Carter out there. And it was just awful for the Arizona Cardinals. But what the Arizona Cardinals don't get to waste talents of are Jaden Reed, which I think is an interesting pick for the 904 because I just don't see the Packers relying on a Jaden Reed enough to make him worthwhile in starting lineups because they love revolving around the tight end like Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, Jaden Reed, he plays mostly in the slot, right? I think 60%, 65%. Of the plays he's on the field, and when he's on the field though they do use him, and with the first down bonus again I do like some of the slot receivers. I would think in this format someone like a Matthew Golden or Christian Watson are probably going to be more valuable, but I'm still in on Reed.
Reed will probably end up being the healthiest wide receiver even though he got hurt last year because it's almost a joke at this point that Christian Watson is probably expected to get hurt again. But I also try to remain consistent with preaching players are not actually injured until they are. So, yeah, once they come back, you got to assume everybody's healthy in that lineup. I should probably grab a tight end pretty soon before they all go here. I'm sure, guys, here we go. Okay, yeah, Dalton Kincaid, I'll definitely grab him. I'll even go Mark Andrews, my favorite sleeper tight end this year. Isaiah Likely is gone. They didn't draft anybody who could potentially be a good Isaiah Likely replacement. The rookie that they grabbed this year at tight end is Matt Hibner out of SMU. Well, I mean, he was a 4th-round pick, which doesn't necessarily guarantee everything. But hey, George Kittle was a 5th-round pick, so you could still have some talent out of him. But Hibner's not necessarily a guy I'm expecting to be Andrews' replacement. But it looks to me like they want to get Mark Andrews the ball. If Declan Doyle is their new offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, who was under Ben Johnson's tutelage. So if he's learned anything from it, the tight end is going to get the ball. I don't see why Mark Andrews doesn't get the ball way more this year. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, coming in last year, Mark Andrews got into an accident. I think he got hit by a car or something. So he wasn't fully healthy in the beginning of the year. That's why you didn't see him do much the first 6, 7 games. But then after that, he came back and he was pretty strong. They used him in the red zone a lot. So I think he is going to get a lot of those touchdown opportunities. And well, let me make my pick. There we go. Michael
Nice.
Pittman. Yes. So yeah, I do think Mark Andrews. He's one of my later tight end clicks that I found myself taking a lot of just for that bounce back. You know, they drafted 2 rookies, right? Then you got Flowers, and that's it, really. So I do see them incorporating Mark Andrews a lot in that offense.
Yeah, I don't see why they don't as well. Miguel Madrid 1005 also pointed out what a value for those 10th round tight ends. So beside Mark Andrews, we had Travis Kelce go at the 10-2, George Kittle go at the 10-3, Juwan Johnson go at the 10-7, and then Isaiah Likely finishes us off in the 10-12. I think those are all phenomenal values for tight end at this point. I don't know how these guys are so low in ADP, but if you get tight ends like that this late, you guys are golden, man, because they are definitely going to get peppered heavily with the ball. I don't think Juwan Johnson is going to lose a lot of work to Oscar Delp this season, but Delp, I think they definitely want to be the future for the Saints offense. Do you still love Juwan Johnson, Jamie, as far as a tight end value goes?
Yeah, I do. They're going to use a lot of the 12 personnel sets, so Delp will be involved, but I don't see Juwan Johnson losing much to him at all.
Now that we're talking about tight ends, a lot of the remaining ones are starting to go, and that's not necessarily a bad thing by the 10th and 11th round, because if you guys can grab Dalton Schultz, TJ Hawkinson this late, I think that's an amazing pick by Joe Warriors at the 11-3. Kenyon Sadiq at 11-5, who I definitely think is starting a tight end over Mason Taylor, and then Brenton Strange at 11-6, who will be providing some solid tight end 2 value, but his value is going to go way up now that we've got tight end premium like a motherfucker this year. Punker Dad goes Kenneth Gainwell, excellent value in the 11th round. There goes Chigo Okonkwo, who I love a lot as a sleeper tight end for the Washington Commanders. I
Yep.
think it sounds like you agree with me there, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm a big Chig guy. Because if you look at last year, Zach Ertz, I think he finished in the top 20, and he was tight end 18 in targets share. I just think them bringing in Chig he's definitely gonna get all the tight end passes. They obviously don't trust Sinnott, because Sinnott, I think over the past 3 years he's been in the league, he only has 150 yards total. So he's not going to be part of the game plan. And who else is there? They brought in a rookie, I believe, didn't they? For the Antonio Williams in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
And then besides McLaurin, who else is going to be catching passes? It's going to be Chig.
Yeah, it's going to be Chico Okonkwo. I mean, I don't necessarily see Antonio Williams just coming in and taking over that offense either, but I think the Commanders are definitely going to struggle on offense this year as they try to figure out how they want to proceed. Getting rid of Cliff Kingsbury was a really good start, but I also think once Jaden Daniels can stay healthy, he's going to help remind people why Terry McLaurin is still a highly valuable wide receiver and who falls so badly in a lot of drafts, including even with this Scott Fishbowl mock draft. Terry McLaurin went at the 608 by Dukerbackers. I think that's crazy good value this year, especially getting him after Puka, Tetero McMillan, Lad McConkey. When he's your Scary Terry is your 4th wide receiver, that's freaking amazing. You guys take note of that.
Yeah, I love Scary Terry. I've been finding myself drafting him a lot, and especially in best ball leagues. I think he's going to smash this year.
And there goes David Njoku by Punker Dad at the 12-6. That's going to be some sneaky good tight end value as they try to get Oronde Gadsden Jr. to get a better acquainted with the NFL level so that he's not struggling in this NFL level offense, which I think that's a great rental for the Los Angeles Chargers. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, they're going to use him like as a veteran presence. And I think this actually helps Gaston's future, because he's not being forced into that like heavy role. So I love them using both tight ends, but Njoku is going to be the main guy. He'll probably get all the goal line work, and he's going to be the best tight end in that offense this year. So I was going to take him here, but obviously I can't now. I keep getting sniped every round.
Well, hey, Rachaad White is not necessarily a terrible consolation prize because the Commanders are definitely going to be deploying a running back by committee once again, unless somebody proves otherwise. There was a lot of talk about Jeremiah Love going to the Commanders, and I was just, with people talking about it on social media, I was sitting back and going, are you guys sure about that? Because they got other needs at a lot of other positions, and running back ain't it. They love their committee approach. I didn't see that changing at all for them, but I think Rachaad White could provide some solid PPR value, just like low-end flex value.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, he played in college with Jaden Daniels, so they have a rapport with each other. And I think his job is safe because you got Mr. Bill Krusky Merritt, and they brought in Katron Allen. They're similar, so they're going to be fighting for their role. And I think Rachaad White's role is pretty safe because there's no one in that backfield that can catch passes like him.
Most definitely. NASCAR Baller just took Juwan Jennings at the 13-2, who I love the value of Juwan Jennings this year. I think he has a chance to take over the wide receiver 2 role away from Jordan Addison, who I have not been impressed with one bit. Never mind the off-field issues Jordan Addison has had. I think he's been too wildly inconsistent and too limited with his abilities, where Addison is a phenomenal deep threat, don't get me wrong, but he's not really that good of a number 2 option behind Justin Jefferson. And we didn't really see what the Vikings offense had to offer last year because they just sucked at throwing the football for the past 2 seasons. So with Kyler Murray getting back out there, I think Juwan Jennings could see some valuable targets from Kyler, assuming he starts all season long. But I don't know, Jamie, what do you think? Is Jordan Addison's job safe?
I don't think so. I've actually been kind of ignoring Jennings, which I shouldn't be because you make some valid points. And I do think he is going to be the better wide receiver over Addison.
I mean, especially compared to like Jaden Higgins, who I think is going to struggle to get targets. Same with, I mean, you just took Matthew Golden, who I know you'd like to get some value on, but I'm not so sure Golden is going to be anything relevant to the future. Jaden Reed is definitely going to be more valuable, but I also wanted to ask you before I forget about Josh Downs, where there's a lot of people who are a lot higher on Josh Downs who could step into the wide receiver 1 role. But I think this is going to be similar to the Green Bay Packers, where I think they're just going to revolve that offense around Tyler Warren, and the wide receivers is just going to be game script dependent, whoever has the hot hand that day. A lot of more teams in the NFL are becoming like this. The Buffalo Bills do it with Kincaid, Packers do it with Kraft, and now I'm seeing the Colts doing it too. What do you think, Jamie? Could this be a possible strategy moving forward for the Colts?
Yeah, I like Josh Downs because I think every year he's had over 100 targets. I could see with Pittman leaving, that's just going to give him more target situation, and he can play on the outside, not just a slot. He'll probably get most of the targets in that intermediate area, but it is Warren's room. So Warren is the guy that's going to get most of the targets. He'll be the number 1. Josh Downs, I think he'll get more targets than Pierce, but Pierce could end up with more fancy points just because of the long ball, and Downs will just be in that short to intermediate area. But I still think it's valuable. I love Downs.
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. I don't love him, but I think at the 11-4, that's a totally fine shot to take with the value that he could have as a later round wide receiver. I sure wouldn't want him over Pittman, but Downs could surprise us on some weeks. I think it's going to be a ambiguous wide receiver 1 situation, just like the teams I also mentioned. We're starting to see a shortage on quality wide receivers here in this draft, and I'm trying to force myself to do this mock draft a little bit differently, where I'm not really grabbing a lot of wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, and then I grabbed a really yucky Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yes, it is. And Deshaun Watson, with the money he's being paid, is presumably the starter for your Cleveland Browns this year. Jamie, what have you been hearing with the Browns? Is Watson's got the inside track to start? Is he going to be the guy all season?
Probably not all season because he'll probably get injured at some point again. But until they start losing, maybe, that's going to be quick, but maybe when they get to week 10 or 11, they realize, hey, we're out of it. We're trying to get that better draft pick anyway. Let's put in Shador just to see if he can be like the guy next year, which I don't think he's going to be either because they're going to draft a quarterback in the top 5 pick. But they still need to see what he could do.
So you definitely believe that with the rich quarterback draft class we're going to have next year, that the Browns are definitely taking one in the first round.
Yes, I mean they're going to get a top 5 pick, if not the 101.
Yeah,
that would be the perfect season. The perfect season for the Browns would just be to get the 101 because we're not playing for anything this year. That's why we got rid of Myles Garrett. We're building a younger team. We're getting our new stadium in 2029. So I think they're building for the future.
So that actually brings up a good point. That reminds me, with the Myles Garrett trade, they got back Jared Verse and a lot of draft capital. So what do you think about Jared Verse now being there with Carson Schlesinger? Is this going to be this young defense that they're going to try to revolve the defense around him and hope for the best?
Yeah, I mean, I love Verse. He was defensive rookie of the year. And I mean, Schlesinger, I think, wasn't he defensive rookie of the year too?
Definitely led the team in tackles.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great duo for the future. And I love both of them. I know Schlesinger, I do a lot of IDP drafts. Schlesinger's like the 5th or 6th IDP player off the board. Like I have him ranked, I think at like 8th or 9th. But seeing other people draft him in the top 5, I mean, that makes you feel good.
Yeah, I mean, he was super impressive last year, but with how often the Browns were playing defense, I mean, it was pretty inevitable that he was going to be a highly valuable IDP pick because, I mean, you saw the Browns offense. You probably knew they were not going to be on the field for very long.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, with Myles Garrett going to the Rams, he's not going to be used to all this, freshness because he's not on the field all the time, like constantly. He's actually going to get some breaks. And I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. As soon as I heard the news that Myles Garrett went there, I wasn't upset. What I did is I went to DraftKings and I put like $20 on the Rams to win the Super Bowl. So
there you go. Now's a great time to start putting in those sportsbook bets. I think that's a phenomenal way to spend $20 if you have to do it, if you have the money to spend on such a bet, because now they're easily a favorite. I mean, I don't know how much money you'll get back with a lot of people probably doing the same thing, but yeah, they're pretty much an easy pick with the offense looking damn good still. I was watching my Bears take them to overtime in the divisional round last year. They still look freaking good. Even without Myles Garrett, they still have a fantastic defense.
Yeah, 100%. And then there's a chance that Aaron Donald might come back. That would be insane. But when I placed the bet, I think the odds were plus 800, around there, maybe 650. I can't remember.
I'm sure that's changed by now, days later.
Oh, yeah. All right.
So I'm going to get to a question. Miguel Madrid 1005 also asked us, what do you think of spending a late round pick with Brandon Ayuk? I really thought he'd end up with another team, but he can't stop looking like a bad decision for the rest of the league. Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you, Miguel. I think Jamie would agree as well that Brandon Ayuk pretty much ruined his own NFL career doing what he did, abandoning the San Francisco 49ers, taking the guaranteed money and just not playing football. I don't see what other general manager in the league would trust a guy like a Brandon Ayuk. He's basically unrosterable like Antonio Brown was at the end of his career.
Yeah, I'm out on Ayuk. I've always been out on Ayuk. Wasn't a fan of him even as a rookie. I used to call him I Puke. As his nickname. I wasn't a big fan of him, so I don't really have any shares of him in Dynasty, and I don't click on him even in the late rounds.
I don't either, and I mean, I did just go Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel back to back, but that's just theoretical in case they happen to land on another team like later in August or something like that. But getting back to Brandon Ayuk for a moment, it seems like the 49ers drafted him to be the big body wide receiver opposite Deebo Samuel, to be the big red zone guy. But being that now he showed us who he really is, he refuses to play for the 49ers, they had to go out and get Mike Evans to replace Brandon Ayuk until they can figure out who they want in the future for a big body wide receiver. So, yeah, the 49ers have already moved on from Ayuk at this point, despite being under contract with guaranteed money. But speaking of Tyreek and Debo, those guys surely get signed somewhere soon, right?
I don't know, honestly. You would expect them to somewhere, but I just don't see them fitting really in any offense that really is looking for a wide receiver, especially Tyreek.
I mean,
He's getting up there in age. He has like 12 kids he needs to take care of, so he's probably still going to play somewhere, even if he doesn't get like a main role.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the Las Vegas Raiders could use a wide receiver because their top wide receiver right now is Jalen Naylor.
True. Yep. I mean, they did pay Naylor. I do like him. I think I actually drafted him. Yeah, I did.
You did in the 15-4.
So, yep. Because, I mean, they did pay him the money. He is the wide receiver one right now at the time. So I do like that value on Naylor. But, yeah, I mean, if he does go to the Raiders, I do like that, actually. And getting him this late is a good value. Even if he doesn't really go anywhere, you're using him like at this late as like a droppable player. You can just go pick someone off of waivers and you won't even bat an eye because you didn't get him early. You got him this late.
Yeah, exactly. And I still love the value for Jalen Naylor as well at the 15-4, being that somebody else has to get open besides Brock Bowers in that offense. And hopefully Bowers is less injured than he was last year, as Kirk Cousins is presumably going to be starting at quarterback for the Raiders until they, get Fernando Mendoza NFL ready and they don't ruin him earlier, which is brilliant of Clint Kubiak, by the way. It just goes to show, even as a number one overall pick, he's not going to ruin that guy.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
So you've been going wide receiver heavy these last several rounds. Jalen Naylor, Trey Harris, Ted Hurst, Jeremy Bernard, and now Elijah Surratt. So we were just talking about the Ravens rookies that they picked up for their offense. Outside of tight end, they grabbed Elijah Surratt. I forgot the other rookie wide receiver they grabbed, but
Jacoby Lane.
Yeah, Jacoby Lane. One of those guys is surely going to be replacing the disappointing Rashad Bateman, right?
Yeah, I think Lane's going to be on the outside. They're going to use Surratt as like that big-bodied slot type wide receiver, which I love for Surratt. So I do think he has some kind of a role this year. And I'm a Surratt guy over Lane, even in Dynasty and redraft.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I want to get to another wide receiver free agent question by Miguel Madrid 1005. Of all the free agent wide receivers, I really like Stephon Diggs to get signed. So aside from Tyreek and Debo, Stephon Diggs is another big name free agent who hasn't landed with a team yet. But, Stephon Diggs also kind of comes with some baggage that he can't seem to stay out of trouble off the field as well. Surely Diggs lands with somebody even after healed from an ACL tear, right?
I don't know. I'm out on Diggs. I just sold him a couple days ago in a league for the 601, but it's an IDP league also. I just want him off my team. He's 33 going on 34, I think, or is he 32 going on 33? Anyway, he's past his prime. You saw him kind of fall off last year, and even if he does sign, I just don't see him having a huge role.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't either. I gotta say, though, now that I finished all 20 rounds for my own team, this makes me sick. I hate this. If this were my real Scott Fishbowl team, I would hate this team. We're going to get to my team in a moment, though, as soon as we finish this draft. But shout out to Kamikaze at the 23, getting Justin Fields as a late round value for quarterback. Surely Justin Fields is going to be valuable for at least 1 week, being that it would be a miracle if Patrick Mahomes was ready for week 1.
Yeah, I'm hearing that Mahomes will be ready, but I don't know.
I think that's wishful thinking.
So even for the 1 week, you could just play them and then drop them, pick up something else.
Yeah, because there's going to be no shortage of highly valuable free agent options. Where this Ultraflex format I like a lot because with 20 guys that you take off the board, 10 starting, 10 bench, and 12 teams. So, that leaves plenty for free agents on the waiver wire to pick up when somebody starts to get hot. So I love that you went with Gronk and the 29. That's a fantastic nonsensical pick for the sake of entertainment, being that Gronk has definitely said he's not coming out of retirement, but
Yeah,
in a
it's just
tight
a
end
fun pick.
premium in a tight end premium format, if he decides to like sign with the Rams for some reason to get that Super Bowl ring, you're golden.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to happen. I just did it because I like taking my last picks. Just a fun pick because I could drop this guy and just go pick something else up off the waivers. I probably in a real draft, I'd probably go with like Justin Jolie right there
Mm.
because I believe he has some kind of a role in Denver offense.
I love Justin Jolie as well because he's fast. He's a great route runner. He's got a body like Evan Ingram, and it looks like they want him to be Evan Ingram's successor.
Yeah, I agree. So, and I think Evan Ingram last year on his contract, maybe. So, I think they're going to give him reps, Justin Jolie, just to get him ready for the future. And he can be that Joker type role. I know we throw that out a lot with Sean Payton, but Justin Jolie can play like a Joker role type.
Yeah, I hope to see it. I mean, Sean Payton hates fantasy football, so we'll have to see if that even works out for the sake of fantasy value. So, famous J7483 says he would go to battle with his team. Kapla, good sir. If those of you who watch Star Trek, you know what I'm talking about here. So that's Worf 69. Let's take a look at his team for a bit here. Brock Bowers, Joe Burrow, Breece Hall, Dak Prescott, Garrett Wilson. I think those are all phenomenal picks for drafting out of the 9 slot in a snake draft, just because those are guys that I feel like don't get enough respect on their name. All 5 of those guys don't get enough respect on their name. What do you think, Jamie? Is that like sneaky value in rounds where everybody gets studs?
Yeah, I think so. I love his quarterbacks. You got Joe Burrow, could be top 5. Dak is going to be top 10. You got great tight ends. I love all 3 of those. And I mean, Garrett Wilson, you got the value on him. Even the late rounds, Dobbins, Harvey, they could be values, you know. Because like let's say one of them gets hurt, the other one is going to get more work.
Yeah, 100%. Even the backups are good as well because Ryan Flournoy even gets high value when wide receivers get injured in that Dallas offense. But even then, like, I mean, if somebody else has to catch passes behind Pickens and Lamb as well. So I mean, for a later round wide receiver for like that deep threat type of guy, that could be Flournoy as well. I mean, who knows? Donnie Mitchell, who knows? So it doesn't hurt to take shots on these wide receivers, and you just drop them if they don't have any big weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
And you were just hyping up Pat Fryermuth as well. 16-4, late round tight end value, right?
Yeah, I've been getting him a lot in these drafts when I do the mocks, and I usually take him in that 16, 17 range. So that seems about right. And he's buried on the ADP, so he's basically being ignored.
He's tremendously buried. It's just one of those tight end situations where I think a lot of people got fooled by Darnell Washington getting paid, as if that somehow means Fryermuth isn't going to catch any more passes from Rodgers.
Yeah, yep.
I want to take a look at Kamikaze's team as well. He mentioned that he grabbed Justin Fields to cover his own ass just because he has Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, he would pretty good for quarterback value also in the first several rounds. Not exactly mirroring what Worf 69 did, but Chris Olave, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, guys who I also believe don't get enough respect on their names as well, but also late round value for a lot of teams who draft this late. Jamie, what do you think of Kamikaze's team?
This was actually one of my favorite teams I was looking at. It's between this and one other, but I do like getting the tight end. You got Lamar Jackson. I mean, essentially, you could get Jackson in it with the first round and possibly get McBride in the second, but you got both. So I love that for him. Derrick Henry, he's still got a lot of juice left in him. I don't care about his age. And Olave, Flowers, great picks there. So you didn't really necessarily need to get Fields because you got Darnold as your third. So I'd rather play Darnold over Fields. But it's still good. It's a stash, you know.
Yeah, and being the ultra flex format, I don't blame this guy for grabbing 5 quarterbacks, especially guys that you might end up dropping. Being that Shedeur, I mean, we were just talking about Deshaun Watson starting all season long, but I mean, Shedeur Sanders, assuming Watson is healthy all year, Sanders isn't going to see another snap, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. Maybe at the end of the year, if they're just 1 win, 2 win team, you just throw him in there to see what he could do, just to get him some reps.
Yeah, reps never hurt a young quarterback, especially a 5th round guy. So Jamie, I'm going to ask the big question that I always ask everybody at the end of every mock draft that we do on this show. You mentioned that Kamikaze had one of your favorite drafts, but who genuinely do you believe had the best draft?
I like the 105. 105 is my real spot in the Scott Fish Bowl, but I'm taking the bias out of it. But I do like what he did here. He got like a rushing quarterback. He stacked them with McLaurin, Hampton. I think is going to be a top 5 guy. Now, Jacobs is a tough one because if he doesn't get suspended, this value right here is insane. Like he should be going right around like 3-4 rounds earlier, like right around Kyron, I think.
Right, and we don't know if Josh Jacobs is in a Ray Rice situation where he's out of the NFL completely, or it just depends on what's going to be decided for him. And this is actually the first intentional Josh Jacobs pick I've seen in Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan ever since we learned what happened with his arrest. We had a couple of auto drafts over the last couple of weeks where Jacobs went at an unrealistic spot, usually in the 5th round or something like that. His ADP is plummeting, but the 7-5 is the earliest intentional pick I've seen of Jacobs post arrest news. So like you just said, that could be insane value if he indeed suits up this year. But yeah, we're going to have to see what happens this summer with him. But outside of that, later round picks, just taking shots on guys like Tank Bigsby for whatever reason. Maybe even Desmond Claiborne could provide some value behind Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones, he's getting up there. He's probably going to get hurt at some point. So I do like taking Claiborne in some drafts. Tank Bigsby, now let's say Barkley comes out kind of slow, right? Maybe he looks sluggish. I could see a world where Bigsby will get like maybe 45% to at least 45 to Barkley's 60% of the snaps. And plus he did show last year when he did start that he can do it.
Yeah, no, he can definitely bruise his way to some carries if given the right opportunities. That Eagles offensive line can help him get it done too. They made DeAndre Swift look like $1 million after his career was taking a bit of a hit after not faring so well for the why am I forgetting the Lions? Why am I forgetting the Lions head coach's name for some reason? The Lions system he didn't work out in. So it could very much be a possibility. So yeah, Dukerbockers, whoever you are, you got Jamie's stamp of approval for best team in this draft. Want to get a couple of comments before we get out of here tonight. So our Kurzenbrock says, this was fun. My first Scott Fishbowl mock. I'm actually drafting from the 5 spot in Phoenix Live. Thanks, everyone. So Phoenix is coming up on, I just had the date. Now I have it back. It's July 18th. So that's about a week after we draft, Jamie. So our Kurzenbrock, we hope you have a great time in Phoenix the week after that we draft. And we hope to hear from you again to see how your team went. One more comment here from Famous J7483. Tight end ADP on Sleeper is terrible. Tip is to fill your queue before you start drafting. I 100% agree with this advice because I don't think tight end ADP is going to climb quickly. I think it's going to be a slow thing, largely thanks to a lot of Scott Fishbowl live drafts. But yeah, queue up your favorite tight ends before you go into your live drafts, folks. That's really good advice.
Yeah, I agree with the ADPs off on sleeper because if you even look at Mason Taylor, he's up there. He should be way, way down. And for some reason, sleeper didn't fix it.
Absolutely. Curzon Brock, you're the Joe Warriors guy. Great to have you with us this evening. So we'll hope to have you back for another mock draft sometime soon. But on that note, we want to start wrapping up the show for this evening. So, ladies, gentlemen, all those in between or outside of it, we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening for another episode of Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan. One more time, I'd like to thank my guest, Jamie Perogue, especially last minute coming through for me after Joey Wright unfortunately had to bow out due to a domestic emergency. So, at this point, be sure to follow Jamie on Bluesky at jamieperogue.bsky.social and at Jamie Perogue on Twitter as well, depending on which microblogging site you like. Jamie, what else do the people need to know that they should be checking out from you, especially aside from the going for 2 live streams for Scott Fishbowl?
Yeah, if you're in the Dynasty, I do a Dynasty show every Wednesday at the Fantasy Six Pack, so check that out. And then over at the IDP Center, if you play IDP, I highly recommend it, but we also do offensive side of the ball too.
Love it. Absolutely. So that's going to wrap up this show for tonight, folks. Be sure to tune in next week for another Scott Fishbowl mock draft with the great Jeff Crisco of footballabsurdity.com. I originally wanted to have Jeff on the show back in April, but he also was another guest who had a last-minute emergency to deal with as well, so I'm excited to finally get him on the show a couple of months later. So hopefully nothing bad will happen again, preventing Jeff from being able to appear on the show, but folks, if you'd like to mock draft with us for next week's Scott Fishbowl draft, be sure to join the Fantasy Football Network Discord server in the description below if you'd like to grab a spot for that mock draft. This has been Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan signing off. Have a great night, folks. We'll see you all next week. Take care.